Georgia States, the Georgia Southerns, and the McNeese, and ULLs. I mean, I love those, but okay, this is the NFL, and we're going to get rid of people that we know can kick in the league to bring in this young man and say, okay, you're it. Why didn't they just not have a kicker? Just use those roster spots to try to pick up people at other positions, and then just get a guy at the end. Say, okay, you're it. Come on in and kick.
Exactly.
That goes against all of my sensibilities. And if the Saints would have had some success in the past with picking kickers and selecting the right one and the like, I would give them the benefit of the doubt. But what have they done for me to know that this is the right guy? I'm at a loss.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, when I look,
but the Saints must have seen him warm up when they played Baltimore here in the preseason. They must have seen the guy warm up.
It must
have
been
because the real kicker was kicking the whole game for the Ravens.
Right.
And Lutz might have gotten a kickoff. I'd have to go back. I didn't look at my notes, but what did he do to just all of a sudden jump over everybody?
Yeah.
Let's hope they're right. But my job is to try to put logic, common sense behind decisions, or at least talk about what somebody was thinking or why somebody did what they did. I can't figure it out in this particular case.
Right.
They're just guessing that he's better. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he's a part of the Who Dat Nation now. We're gonna root for the young man. I hope he does well. Professor has a eerie premonition is going to go wide left. Was it, Professor?
I just had the dream, and the kick is up, and it is wide left in the Saints lose. I don't know how many times we could get this shit. Dad said it very prophetically. The Saints' track record with kickers and the way the Saints are predominantly in most of their games, they leave a lot of points off the board. And that makes a difference in you being 11-5 and 7-9. I mean, Dad just laid it out. Why this team is where it's at. Can't keep a stable kicker. Kickers have not managed the finances correctly, and that's why we're in the predicament we're in. You wait till the last minute with the greatest asset you have on the team and treat him like dirt. You're just not going to progress. I'm just be very honest. You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow, and for this team to fall this far down from how it was, especially from 06 to 11, and to come crashing down back into mediocrity the way it has, and just a little below average, because the Saints, the bottom line is this, the Saints are 14-18. Then if you go back into that 13 season, they were 5-3, so they're at the end of that season. So you're looking at a team that's 19-21 in regular season games over the last 3 seasons, and something, I mean, you paying Les Miles all this money with LSU, Cam Cameron, you're paying Sean Payton and all this money, and the people of Louisiana are not spending their hard-earned money to go to these games at LSU and the Saints, and they're not getting their money's worth. I'm an accountant, so I'm going to just speak for finances. That's just too much money people are having to spend, and the product is just not matching up. And we've missed on all these draft picks, which just is horrible. It's just really terrible on how well. And then I don't know if they have the patience for anybody. I mean, they get rid of kickers left and right. They get rid of quarterbacks that they draft or what have you. It's a lot of, to me, impatience, and I don't know what the situation is going to be with the Saints. Let's just hope for something to turn around for LSU and the Saints.
Okay. I need to ask you this, Coach, and Professor, maybe you can follow up with it as well. If you look at the Saints draft choices in 2013, Vaccaro, Armstead, Jenkins, they still remain on the team. And we drafted Kenny Stills. He was productive as a Saint. Then we trade him to Miami. Rufus Johnson really never panned out. So we have 3 draft choices that remain with the team. Then you go to 2014, Brandon Cooks and everybody else is gone. Jean-Baptiste, Fort, Sunseri, Ronald Powell, Tavon Rooks, and really don't know whatever happened to that kid, right? I mean, just all of these guys are gone. And you go up to 2015, fortunately, we have everybody except Davis Tall, who these guys drafted. So that was a pretty good selection, so to speak. But we still have a guy that is still questionable in the minds of so many people, Andrus Peat. Will he be able to show some stability? Will they give him the opportunity to be stable at the left guard position? Now, after naming all of these guys, Coach, and as well as Professor, how do you feel? Is it just this Saints front office is not very aware of what we need to do, or what do you think? What's going on here?
Well, Jeff Ireland's impact has influenced the last 2 drafts. They just didn't have enough draft picks this last year. You could see where the 5 that they did pick, even though they've actually turned 7 picks into 5 because they traded up to get Von Bell and traded up to get Onyemata, including a draft pick from next year. So they reverted back this past year to some of their old ways, because the way to get some results out of the draft is to get numbers and to have a lot of people, because it's so hard to predict whether somebody can translate from the college game into the professional game. So the last 2 years of drafting, you see at least some rationale for doing what they're doing. And the key point, the benchmark, is that if you get 4 draft choices make it to their second contract, then you've had an above average draft.
We can't get 4 to make it out to the second week of practice.
And that's certainly true because, as you mentioned, 2 years ago, Brandon Cooks is it.
Yeah.
And the year before, there's still only 3, and that's you probably won't get all of them off of the second contract. You could at least see the last 2 years. You could kind of picture that they may have that many that will be off of the second contract.
Right.
But as the professor was alluding to, when you look at the amount of dead money, when you look at the number of undrafted free agents that you have to depend on, when you look at the number of free agents from other teams that you have to try to sign, which led to a lot of the dead money when they signed poor people, and that still isn't over. We're still going to get to see whether C.J. Spiller and Jairus Byrd are worth the money that we're paid, that they're being paid. You could see where the club, personnel-wise, is in a decline, because it's impossible to sign enough, no matter how successful you are at signing undrafted free agents and having them produce. There's a reason they're undrafted free agents. Mm-hmm. They've got some hole in their game somewhere, and they may be able to play in the league, but you can't convince me that that the draft choices aren't better, or certainly better coming into the situation. So the flaws, the whole thing snowballs because of the poor drafting, and that's cheap labor in the NFL, necessitates a larger number of undrafted free agent signings. It necessitates getting more free agents from other teams in the league that very often you have to overpay for, and that leads to a shortage in talent. That leads to too much dead money and not enough cap space to improve. So that all snowballs into itself. It's all interrelated. And the Saints somehow, to be competitive, have got to get every little thing going for them to have any chance of being competitive. It's going to be tough to overcome the 7-9 syndrome. of 3 of the last 4 years, especially with the schedule that the Saints have. I mean, we're looking at 2 teams tonight, Carolina, in many phases of the game. In the secondary, they won't be as good, but in all the other areas of the game, it looks like they're better. Certainly at the receiver position, they're better than they were a year ago. Denver, who the Saints play, is a really, really good team as well. That, you know, even with the quarterback situation the way that it is, they're still going to be hugely competitive. So playing the AFC West and the NFC West in their schedule certainly is no favor for the Saints. So even though the Saints could be better, it's going to be tough to do better than they've done the last 3 of the 4 years. And something else that's concerning to me, as we've mentioned previously, the roster turnover is getting to be enormous. Last year was 47%. I'm doing a study right now, but they keep changing the roster so fast, and the roster they put on their website, on their, I got to even see if that's even up to date.
It is.
I might have to wait. I might have to wait till that's just from what we know.
They're gonna make a change tomorrow.
The flip card comes out Sunday to really do a comparison of the opening day roster, 53 last year, to what the 53 is. But coming into tonight, I believe the turnover was 43 or 44% from the opening day roster last year.
It
was 20% difference from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. But from the beginning of last year to now, it was 43 to 44%, and I'm suspecting right now it's even more than that.
That's a lot.
Wow, that is alarming.
Yeah.
That is
you can't compete. Can't compete doing that.
That is very, very alarming. And you know, coming from corporate background, honestly, I'm being honest with your dad and Kyle, having worked on $1 billion, and $500 million projects. Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton would have been fired. They would be gone. And I'm just speaking now real time. I'm not talking sports. I'm talking about the pressure I had as a project manager coordinating AT&T's entire business units for their billing systems, coordinating all the DBAs, all of the personnel, all of the regional processing centers across this country, sitting at board tables where people are looking at me to make decisions. And if I made the wrong decision, my job was gone. This is when I was living up in the New York area. There is no way on earth, with the type of turnover this team is having and the type of personnel moves that are being made, that Coach Payton and Mickey Loomis would still be in a job in corporate America. They would have been removed. It would have been removed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Coach. Go ahead.
No, I'm absolutely agreeing, and I'm getting ready to also do a study on the coaching turnover, where you had a huge coaching staff turnover as well. So that's way too much turnover.
I had no idea the number was that high, 40%. Wow, that is alarming.
Yeah, when you're not going to be turning over 20% a year.
Yeah, because you're not going to have any continuity. How are you going to ever? That's what I was telling Kyle. These guys, how can you ever get any continuity? How can Kenny Vaccaro have any continuity when he's got different cornerbacks every year? You know, he's got different people back there. You know, now he's the senior statesman back there in his 4th year. You know, being back there, because everybody he's played with, well, you know, is come and gone. You got a whole bunch of new line, like Laurinaitis has never played with Ellaby. Ellaby never played with Laurinaitis. Craig Robertson and Stupert. Stephon Anthony in his 2nd year. Cam Jordan ain't never played with Nick Frawley with any longevity. Tyler Davis in his 2nd year. And this is why you've got to stabilize this team. This team has got to stabilize.
Good points.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, good points. Well, I tell you this much, man. If you can't have continuity, you won't have continuity in winning as well. And that's the bottom line. You mentioned something about coaching, and I don't want to look as though I'm just on Bill Johnson and Vitt and those guys, but wouldn't somebody have really taken